Sometimes a watch comes into your life and leaves you a changed man. Even though it wasn't expensive, even though at first glance it was just kind of a nice watch, let me give that one a whirl. You get it and you put it on your wrist and you realize this strap sucks. You put a better on and suddenly it's a perfect watch. Hey everyone, you somehow found yourself in the nick of time. You're a place for value-priced watch reviews, an occasional trip down, maybe something a little more expensive, a little bit nice. But today, we're talking about one of my all-time favorite watches. It is on the list of my 10 favorite watches in my collection. It is on the list of the watches that won't leave. And it's ironically also on the list of the watches I bought for less than $100. That's shocking. Now, I had to spend a little bit more money to make it perfect in the form it should be. But the actual one I'm talking about here is the Sea-Gull business watch. It's sort of a Nomos-inspired homage. I don't think it's a direct rip-off of any individual model, but it definitely has some flavors of the Bauhaus movement from Germany. This one in particular, I think, is just so pretty when you look at that austere white dial. Very minimal, things on the dial, indications, that sort of stuff. They've fought for simplicity in the small second hand there, kind of bring it all together in a watch that isn't too thick, isn't too big, isn't too gaudy, isn't too anything other than kind of the perfect pal to go into more dressy events or things where the watch is just there to look very nice, gather a few compliments, but not maybe draw too much attention or be too big of a deal, right? It's not the main show, it's a supporting character. And this watch is the world's best supporting character that I have found as a watch today. Now this is actually the model 6075 business with the white dial. It's offered in a few different styles that I'll show you right here from their webpage. I personally don't like a gold-plated, rose gold-plated watch because I've had cheap ones before. And when that plating starts wearing off, it belies its age and it really yells to everybody what you might have paid for the watch. And I'd rather have something that's a polished stainless steel like this that looks just sort of right. Now Sea-Gull, if you don't know, you might have heard it from the Sea-Gull 1963 homages if you looked at those very cool old pilot style watches with the 1901 movement in it. This one's a little different. This is Sea-Gull, China's largest watch manufacturer and movement manufacturer, but a huge line. In China they sell they are the Seiko of China. And so, but in the US we really don't get it. In some ways that works to its benefit. Because I think if you look at how they've done the logo work on the dial and how everything ties together, it looks very classy. And if somebody didn't know this is a Chinese watch, they just would look at it and say, wow, looks like an upmarket watch you bought somewhere. Insert nice, right? I'm drowning this in praise. I'll try to walk it back so we can get a little more clinical. But overall, yes. But let's talk first about the thing that killed this watch when I got it. The strap you're seeing in the photos to begin with wasn't the strap it came on. It came on this one, which, to be honest, as I look at it today, as I have it here, tried on the watch in there, it's not as bad as I thought. But these fake alligator black watches that many different inexpensive brands come with just don't do it for me. Does it work? Yes. Does it look pretty good with the watch? Actually, it sure does. But I think now if you look at me swap it onto this one, it just looks better on a tan band or just a better band. And at the end, I'm jumping the gun here, I'm burying the lead. We'll do more trying on a strap later. I know it's everyone's favorite section. But overall, if you look at this is here how she goes. Now, before we get much further into this, please like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell. Both for, my benefit in the channel, but for yours too, because you could win the December 2022 giveaway. We're giving away the Pagani Pilot Reserve to one lucky subscriber who comments on videos. If you comment on every video out in the month of December, then you'll have an entry for each one of those comments, which would be great. I want to see somebody cool win. There are some restrictions. Winners are mostly in North America, in Western Europe with Australia and New Zealand as well. Full details of that is in the video description. Throw a comment if you have any questions, any clarifications needed, but that's there. But for the full month of December 2022, comment, subscribe. You're entered to win this really cool watch. Now, with all of that said, let's go take a closer look at this wonderful watch. Now, apologies in advance, because this watch does not have any AR coating, and it does love to reflect the light with that flat sapphire display that it's on. But let's first talk about the specs on this. This is a 40mm case. It is a 20mm wide strap, so it makes it the strap monster that it really is. Lug-to-lug measurement is 46.2 millimeters. has a case thickness of 10.3 millimeters. And that is where this watch wins so much, in that it's such a slim fit on your wrist that gets out of the way and just feels awesome. Now, it's a sapphire crystal display in the front, sapphire crystal display even on the rear. And that is an ST1701 movement from Sea-Gull. 17 jewels, small hands complication on the face there. Overall, really nice setup. Now, if we're going to talk more about that ST1701, 37-hour power reserve. It's decorated, but not crazy pretty. But I do like this screw-down case on the back and how they've done the small window display there in the middle. I think overall it works. It looks stylish. Has a little bit of tooling on it. Nothing too crazy, but enough from a first pass to look passably kind of good. Can't really complain there. It's that movement that has probably the biggest negative on this watch, in that it's sort of a noisy rotor. So when you move this watch around in your hand, wearing it day to day, sometimes you'll feel a little bit of vibration come through to your wrist. And that's just because this rotor is kind of clunky as it moves. This isn't massive. It's not a huge deal, but at first I noticed it and then did some research. And so if you don't like to feel your watch doing things on your wrist, it may not be the watch for you. And I wanted to call that out early because that is definitely the biggest shortcoming on the watch as I see it. Now, if we look at complications, super simple, right? It's a three-hander with a small hands complication there. No push-pull crown, so it's just really just pull out, set your time. Nice and smooth though, very tight, very cool. It's a non-hacking movement though, so that small seconds is still moving as I'm setting the time. If that's a big deal for you, if you're a time exactist, elitist from an accuracy standpoint, if you are creating a heist and you want to synchronize your watches down to the second before when you do things, maybe the $100 Sea-Gull isn't the watch you should use, and you should think of something like, a G-Shock, right? That might be the better watch to use for your heist. You're welcome for this, but I am not implying that I'm participating in your heist, nor do I assume any liability in the going right or wrong of said heist. Thank you very much, but you can like, comment, and subscribe to show me your appreciation before you go to prison. Thank you. Moving on, though, if we look at the finishing, there's a nice polished lip around the top of the bezel here. Fine brushing on the sides, like a directional brushing on each side of the watch. You can see a signed crown with a very lightly etched laser S on the end of it. It's a nice feeling crown, not too sharp. Looks, to the human eye, pretty nice and clean and snazzy. Over on the back, same deal, brushed here with a little bit of finishing on the movement that is there, but polished undersides to the lugs there. All right, now here's it on its standard strap that it gave you, and it's kind of stiff. It's that fake alligator leather kind of look to it. Genuine leather, it claims, sure, whatever. Non-quick release, perfectly fine, I guess. It does have a signed buckle, which is pretty nice, so if you ever wanted to be a completist and move this onto a different buckle you have on it, you do have that possibility. But overall, perfectly all right. Now we're to your favorite part, and mine, especially on this watch. Let's try a strap-on. The watch. The watch. Here's it on the provided strap. It looks really nice, actually. In a photo and a video, it's a good-looking thing. If all you cared about is looking good in a photograph, this strap may not be bad for you. Here's it on Old Reliable. This is from Benchmark Basics. Bought it on Amazon. It's a hell of a strap. I really, really like this strap, and I think the white creamy stitching really plays off that white face very well. If you're feeling a bit green, it also looks just wonderful on this O2 straps. Green strap with kind of a tan stitching. But I think that's also a really good class look. And this one is a JW Suisse buffalo strap, kind of a rally-ish strap that's crazy comfortable. And if I were to wear this in something that I needed on something black, I would really think about this strap. And finally, if you're going to fight in chainmail armor and want your watch to match it, it does come with this provided mesh chain link sort of strap, which I will tell you is 1,000 times better than the black strap it came with. Very, very cool. 1,000% not my style. like in any which way, to be honest. But overall, not a bad looking strap, a good looking style. And once again, if this matches your style and what you're trying to do, have at it, Haas. Now let's do the test of time. This is our look where we look at 6 quality categories with the opportunity for an extra credit and look at the total score from my perspective, 100% subjective, but to see how it lines up against other watches in my collection and along with other watches in the same thing that I've had my hands on. As we look at the spreadsheet here, you can see the Sea-Gull small hands here highlighted. In the first category of value, we're going to give it a 10. I think for under $100 for something that I've fallen in love this much with, it shouldn't be a surprise at all to you that I'm going to give it a 10 in this category. For exclusivity, I'm going to give it a 4. You know, it's anyone can buy the watch, but you're not going to see this everywhere. And the fact that it's garnered as much attention that I have, I think it's still pretty rare. And in that, I think it earns at least a 4. It's not expensive or limiting it or limited edition. You only can buy so many of them. But I think 4 is a healthy number there. For materials, I'm going to give it a 7. With that sapphire crystal display on the front and the back, the stainless steel construction of it, I think it's really well built. The only kind of knockdown there is that band that I'm obviously not in love with. You do get the bonus of having that mesh band that comes with it, so I give it a 7 overall. From the look, I love this watch. I gave it a 9. Could it be slightly better one way or another, a little more elegant, a little more some sort of wow detail? Sure, but it's as close as it gets to getting a 10 that I've gotten so far from a look with one that I've reviewed on this channel. In finishing, I'm going to give it a 7. You know, I think it's really well finished, especially for its price, but I'm sure if you were to compare its finishing qualities to a nice Omega or something crazy that would earn a 10, I think 7's a pretty safe spot to be here. For the movement, I'm going to give it a 6. I usually give 7s and ups for automatic movements, and the ST1701 is a bulletproof movement. It has a good reputation, but it does have that clunky rotor that you can feel when you move around with it. It also doesn't have any crazy complications, so it earned a 6. This watch has no extra credit and lands a 43, which puts it kind of in the middle of the pack in the list here for other watches that I've reviewed. And in fact, only 1 point behind the $350 or $400 Seiko Presage Cocktail Time that I have, that I'm also a huge fan of. So it really holds its own in this category from a position of only being about $100. All right, now for the 60-second pitch on this watch. Here's the deal. If you want a classy, timeless, dressish watch that you can wear every day, that works with a tremendous amount of straps and styles of accoutrements, and you want something that looks great on almost every wrist at that 40mm size, this is the perfect watch. I think it just looks classy as heck without being showy. It's one of those watches that when people notice it, they notice it out of respect, not maybe for how much it costs, but by how just simply stylish it is. It's the Armani suit. It's the very clean, pocketless t-shirt that fits you right. That's what this watch is. It just works in so many ways. I love it. It's a forever watch. And I enjoy this watch from a daily day wearing and for just looking at it on my wrist more than some watches that cost 30 times as much as it did. And that's what's kind of crazy about this. It just blows me away. Overall, though, I think in any collection at this price, you're doing yourself a disservice not to maybe try this watch out. Very, very cool. That's it. Obviously, I'm in love with it. This is an unbiased review in that I spent my own money on the watch, but a biased review in that this is my favorite watch in my collection. I have other ones that come and go, and I have other ones that are nicer and more expensive and more showy or more whatever, but this is the go-to grab watch that I have for a great many events, and it makes me happy every time I put it on. And with all that said, I've been Nick, you've been you. This is the Nick of Time Watch Channel. Thanks for stopping by, and just remember, it doesn't take a lot of money to have something on your wrist that really makes you smile, and then blather about it for the next 10 minutes on video. Come back again soon. Take care.